If you've been following me for a while now, you know that I like using a lot of small portable LED lights. And the reason I like using small portable LED lights is because when I'm on the go, I want to have a light that can change colors so I don't have to bring gels. I want a light that can be battery powered so I don't have to plug it in. And I want a light that's small so I can just throw it in my bag and bring it with me everywhere I go. And for the most part, these small portable LED lights that I've had for the last couple of months have been able to do the job just fine. However, because they're so small, they just aren't as bright as I want them to be in certain situations, and I've been running more and more into problems with them not being bright enough during shoots, and I've kind of had enough of it, and I've decided to start looking for some bigger and more powerful LED lights. During my search for these bigger and more powerful LED lights, the people over at GVM were actually kind enough to send me over some LED lights for me to try out and review, and in today's video, that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to be reviewing the GVM 680 RS LED lights. These are some LED panels that GVM was kind enough to send over, and they didn't pay me. They just sent them over to me, which was perfect because they were actually one of the lights I was considering purchasing myself anyways. But before we start this video, make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe if you aren't already. And while you're at it, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section below to help the algorithm push this video to new viewers. I appreciate every single one of you that does. And with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the video. So as I mentioned, GVM sent me these lights. I didn't actually pay for them, but they did not pay me to say anything nice about these lights. They just simply said, hey, we see that you like using LED lights. If you want to try ours, we'll send you some and let you review them. And I said, heck yeah, I definitely want to try out your lights. And the reason I said yes is because GVM is one of those brands it's not very well known, but they're very high quality. And I know that because a lot of the studios that I shoot at have their own GVM lights. And it's a brand that I've been seeing over and over again. And when they reached out, I was like, oh, I actually recognize this brand and I've actually used some of these lights before. So this is actually gonna be something that I am willing to actually review and talk about. I'll have timestamps for everything I cover in the description and on the timeline if you guys wanna skip to a certain part of the video. But if you guys wanna see an overall review and my actual opinions on these lights, make sure to stick around for the entire video. Again, they didn't pay me. This is all my genuine opinion. As someone who comes from using a bunch of portable LED lights that I can throw into my bag, I definitely wanted to get something that was still very portable because although there are some lights that are super, super bright, they are also usually super, super big and require an entire case per light. And that's something that I didn't really want. I wanted something that was going to be small enough that can fit in a carrying case and I can take with me with my normal camera bag and not have to worry about actually lugging around too much gear. And these lights actually are like the perfect size. They're bigger than the lights that I had before, so they're able to be very bright and a lot brighter than the ones that I had, but they're small enough that when you fold them away and take them apart, you can actually still carry them very effortlessly. The size of these lights I would consider like a medium size because they're not too big, but they're not too small. I had a couple of small pocket LED lights and those are considered like very small. This is about 3 times the size of that. With the size being like a medium size, you probably wouldn't think that these lights are super bright, but you'd be wrong. These lights are actually very, very bright, and I was actually impressed with how bright these lights get. So I'll show you guys on screen a comparison of these lights and the lights that I had before. Keep in mind, the lights that I had before, they're very, very small. They're about the size of my hand, you know, my palm, but they're still pretty bright for how small they are. Now imagine that times 3, and that's basically what you get with these lights. So I'll have them side by side. Both are going to be at 5600 Kelvin, and I'm going to show you guys the difference in brightness at about 3 feet away and at about 7 feet away from the backdrop. So on the left is the old light that I had, and on the right is one of the GVMs that I recently got. And I'll have them both at about 10%, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. So that was at 3 feet, and I did the exact same comparison at about 7 feet away from the backdrop. As you can see, even though they're the same distance from the backdrop, because the GVM 680s are just 3 times the size, they're so much brighter, and this is really, really big, and this is something that I really wanted because, like I said, my main gripe with the other LED panels were they just weren't bright enough for some situations. But with these lights, I don't think I have to worry about that being an issue because even though these aren't huge, they do get really, really bright and they're pretty impressive. While we're on the subject of brightness, let's go ahead and talk about the actual light quality itself. These lights are advertised to be at a CRI of like 97, I think. But I'll show you guys a comparison of these lights and an old pair of lights that I used to use, both at 5600 Kelvin. So what you guys are seeing on screen right now is actually me testing the 680 RS on my skin. As you guys know, skin tones are very important, and the higher the CRI, the better your skin tones are going to look. So this is at 5600 Kelvin at 100% brightness. As you guys can see on screen right now, this is one of the old LED lights that I had. This isn't the one that I was just showing. This is one of the old lights that I got on Amazon. It's like a bulb light, and it's 5600 Kelvin as well. But as you can see, there's a slight difference in the actual tint. The cheaper light has like a slight green tint to it, and the skin tones just don't look as good in my opinion, whereas the GVMs have really rich skin tones, and you can actually see the full color of my skin, and in my opinion it just looks a lot better. And this is something that people don't really realize when they're buying really cheap lights, and something that I didn't realize when I was buying cheap lights is your skin tones are going to look a lot different when you have actual nice lighting on them compared to really cheap light. Even though they're advertised the same color temperature, the quality of the light is going to change, and the quality of the light is going to affect how your skin tones look on camera. So the quality of the light coming off of these LED lights are actually quite good, which is another plus to have, because if you have good quality light coming from your LED panels, your models are going to look a lot better, and the skin tones are going to look a lot better, and it's going to save you so much time in editing. So this LED panel model is actually full RGB, and that's actually really nice because, like I said, I wanted a light that I can carry with me and I don't have to carry around gels. These lights, they have the full spectrum of RGB, and you can adjust them with the knob. You can also adjust them in other ways, with which I'll get to in a little bit later when I talk about the functionality of these lights. So these lights are full RGB, and they have a good majority of the Kelvin spectrum as well, which is very convenient because that's one light that can do both, and that means you have to carry around less gear at the end of the day, which is always a plus. Next, let's move on to the functionality of these lights, because these lights are actually really functional and they have some cool functions that I haven't seen in other lights before. One of the cooler modes that these lights have is they have the ability to become slaves or masters, and what that means is if you have them on the same channel, you can actually set which ones you want to be the quote-unquote slave and which one you want to be the master. And basically, when you have two of them set as slaves, it will connect to the master, and any change you make onto the master will be made to the slaves without you having to change anything else. This is a super functional feature because if you're on set and you're adjusting one of the lights and you want all of the lights to adjust with it, you just throw on the slave mode and you can adjust the one that you want, and it'll adjust all of them, and it'll be the exact settings that you need. This will prevent you from having to walk around and adjust every single light individually, or having to link up to them with the app and adjust all of them individually as well. All you have to do is adjust one of them as the master, and it'll adjust the other two as the slaves. And I don't know how many you can link up in total, but it was able to link up with the two that I got. I'm sure if you got extra ones, you could probably link up even more. I'm not sure exactly how many you can in total, but it's really cool that you can even do this in the first place. This makes it super convenient when you're shooting a really big set where you have to have multiple different locations in order to illuminate the entire set, because you can control the brightness, you can control the color, and you can control all of the other settings with one light, and it'll affect all of the lights, which I think is super, super functional. And now that I have this and these lights, I'm kind of bummed that my other lights don't have it. Another really big feature that these lights come with is they all have barn doors. Obviously the barn doors are removable, but the fact that they come with them makes it super convenient because, one, they add protection to the LED lights when you're carrying them as a little shield. You know, if they bump around in your carrying case or anywhere you have them, the barn doors themselves are actually going to protect the LEDs underneath. And two, they act as light modifiers, which, you know, if you're trying to get specific lighting, you need light modifiers so that your entire image isn't completely flooded with light. And because all these come with barn doors, it saves you some money, because then you won't have to buy third-party barn doors like I've had to do with some other lights, and my small portable LED lights don't even have an option to have barn doors. So this is a really big plus for these lights. And finally, the last feature I want to talk about with these lights is the fact that they come with a carrying case, because not all of the lights that I've purchased in the past have come with carrying cases. And not only that, but the carrying case that this comes with is actually really, really small and really convenient because it fits a ton of gear without taking up a ton of space. So the carrying case that comes with these lights fits 3 of these lights, 3 of the lights power cables, and 3 tripods, along with the carrying cases for the tripods and for the LED lights themselves. So in total, it can carry a lot, and it's not even that big of a case. It's a hard shell case, so it's even more protective than a normal case. And this is it compared to another light case that I have, and the other light case that I have only carries 2 lights, while this one carries 3 and is even smaller than the other one. So when I mentioned earlier I wanted LED panels that were super portable, these lights definitely check that box, because when they're put in this carrying case, they're super convenient to carry with, and I can bring my tripods, the panels, the batteries, and everything without having to worry about it taking up too much space, which is a huge plus and a huge bonus for GVM for including the carrying case with these lights. So the final verdict for these lights is I think that they're really good lights. I highly recommend them. Like I said, GVM didn't pay me to say anything good about them. I genuinely like these lights, and when you use them with the batteries that you can buy off Amazon for pretty cheap, these essentially replace any of the portable LED lights that I have. But if you do need LED panel lights, then these are something I would consider looking into, because GVM as a brand is very underrated in my opinion. I've used a couple of other lights and actually picked up some other GVM lights myself, which I'll be doing a review on later down the line. But the CRI is always really high, the build quality is always really good, and these lights always have a lot more features than their competitions at a much lower price point, which I think is a huge win for GVM. So I think the 680 RSs are a must buy. If you do not already own LED panels and are looking into getting some, definitely check these out. And if you already have LED panels and just want to get more, I would also suggest you checking these out. If you guys have any questions about these lights, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. I'll go ahead and answer as many as I can. All the links to the lights and the batteries and everything else that I talked about will be in the description below. Go ahead and cop them if you want. But yeah, with that being said, make sure to go ahead and like and subscribe. If you guys aren't following me already on social media, make sure you follow me at MoodyDarkRoom. That's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, everything you can think of, I'm on there. Go ahead and follow me over there to keep up with my photography. And yeah, with that being said, we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for watching. See ya.